6 long months ago, I did a video talking about the changes that I was going to make to my kitchen to add storage space, to add functionality, to maybe update its look just a little bit. And I am so happy to be able to show you today that it is finally done. As of the first week of June, I had the last piece done, and I love it, and I can't wait to show it to you. So welcome to Grow and Preserve. I'm Carter, and I'm so glad you're here today. Okay, so my first issue I had was prep space, serving space, any of that. Everything that I had to do to prepare and serve a meal had to be done right here. It's about 2.5 feet. When we moved in, I added this outlet because there wasn't even an outlet here. So not only did I have to do all of my meal prep, meal serving, but I could also can here with my electric canner. So everything had to happen in this area. And when something was going on, it was very difficult to do something else. I also had to film here. So everything I filmed, you were sitting right over there in the living room. And this was all the workspace I had. So I definitely had to fix that. This area down here was really difficult to use as a prep space because the dishwasher's there. So David's always trying to get into the dishwasher. The fridge is here, the glasses are there. He really had very limited access to the kitchen at all if I did any kind of prep work, filming, anything down there. Occasionally I would plug in my big roaster oven and I'd have something going for a couple of days, and I just have to scoot that as far toward the living room as I could to make that work. So this was the first thing that I needed fixed. So this is what I had to work with. And then I had a table, like a tall bar height or counter height farmhouse table that was right here that I really, really liked, but it was useless as a kitchen island because it stained. We've treated it, we've done all kinds of things to it, and you still get watermarks, and it still has old stains, and it has places where people have, tried to sand things out, and it only had open storage. It had one shelf down below, so everything collected dust, and I have cats that I just can't stand having the cat hair all over everything. So I kept a couple of my heaviest appliances there, and I just had to wash them basically every time I wanted to use them. So I wanted a little bit better of a situation there. I wanted something I wasn't afraid to put food on, or a glass on, or cook on, or cut on, or whatever. I needed workspace over there. Okay, so this is the new island. This is where you've been seeing me do all of the meal prep and the recipes and everything that we've been doing lately. I absolutely love this island. So the workspace has been fantastic. It's about the same size as that table that was here before, but it is a surface that I can work on and clean up, and it always looks clean because I can just wipe it down. It's fantastic. I can sanitize it. I don't need to worry about anything. Nothing stains it. Believe me, when we were picking countertops, I had grape jelly, I had red wine, I had tomato paste, I forget what all I had on there, coffee. I put everything on those little samples to make sure that even after sitting for, I think I did 24 hours, that I could just wipe it off and there was no trace of anything whatsoever. So that was very important to me, because I am known to make a mess in the kitchen, but I don't want it to look like a mess. So I also added some water here. This was turned out to be a very simple add because the crawl space is right beneath this. And so it was just literally one hole was drilled down below, and then the pipes were connected. So I was able to get a prep sink here so I can do some of my prep work, yes, but I can also wash my hands without having to walk all the way around to the big sink. So that I really appreciate. So let me show you what's in this. So this island solved so many problems for me. So not just workspace, but storage as well. As you might remember in the last video, I told you that all of my silverware and all of my dishes were down the hall, which made emptying the dishwasher quite difficult. So now I have dishes here, dishes here, silverware, and I can actually touch the dishwasher very easily from where I'm standing. This has made such a huge difference in terms of emptying the dishwasher and grabbing something in the middle of cooking, grabbing something when I'm serving. Oh my goodness, I forgot a steak knife. It's just a piece of cake, and I absolutely love it. So I keep all of our cloth napkins here. And then I have some more, things for dips and sauces and yogurt and chia pudding and all that kind of stuff down here. And then our big dishes that fit nowhere before now have a place to live comfortably. So this has been such a blessing, I cannot even tell you. So I chose a stain color for this to match some other wood in my house. We have some beams. There are some big doors like on David's office that are all this kind of deep dark brown, and that's what I wanted on this. It took so many coats, and these people were so patient, and she came day after day after day after day to get the color right, because it just happened to stain so differently on this type of wood, which I think is maple, than it did on the type of wood that we did the sample on. So anyway, they were terrific about that. It took her forever, but it is perfect. It perfectly matches the beams in the other room, the fireplace mantle, the doors down the hall, matches my pantry door. It is exactly what I wanted. And that was huge for me. That was just absolutely fantastic. Also on this island, you can see we added electrical outlets. So one of the other things on my list was updating my appliances. Now in Atlanta, we had this same line of appliances for a dozen years. I loved them. I never had any issues with them at all. I just absolutely loved them. So there have been a couple of upgrades since that happened, I don't know, 20 years ago, 18 years ago, something like that. And this is probably my very favorite. So you can see that I am not very tall. So when it comes to using an upper oven, usually they fold down from here, and I have to take that turkey or whatever it is, lift it up, over, and then kind of somehow on my toes without burning myself, get that big old heavy thing into an upper oven. It meant that I just didn't use the upper oven very much, or I had to call David to come do it with his longer arms and stronger arms, and I just didn't like it. I felt like why even have the second oven if it was really not easily usable for me. So this oven now solves everything. It's the simplest thing, and I just don't know why everyone doesn't do it now. Look at that, we open from the side. I have no problem at all putting a turkey in there, putting whatever it is in there. I can reach in, I don't have to worry about burning myself on the door. I don't have to lift up and over. It is so much nicer to be able to use both ovens. I love this. So I was really, really, really pleased that Thermador now had a side open door. So that was fantastic. And then we got it over to my range. Now the range I had before was very temperamental. Some burners didn't light. Well, one burner didn't light at all. One burner only lit if that burner was on, which was just the strangest thing. Sometimes they would start clicking all the time. I know there are workarounds for that, and you can mess with it enough and get it to stop doing that. But it was so temperamental that it drove me nuts. So we did away with that. I went back to a range top that I know I love. The BTUs are super high in the front, so I can sear a steak. I can do whatever I need to do in the front. I can get a slower burn in the back, so I can move the gravy back there. I can move the rice back. I can move whatever needs to sit and simmer. I can move back there, and I can sear whatever the heck I want to on these front burners, and I love that. That's the way I cook, and I love it. So you may have noticed I switched out all of the hardware here as well. So I went from a very small black little curly Q handles and knobs and the pot filler and all of that to more of a gold color. It's kind of a gold brass. I don't know, it's not a big shiny gold. It's very muted, and I love it. So a couple other small things I did. We had this big kind of cavernous cabinets, for your pots and pans down below, which again meant I was stacking stuff all over the place. Felt like a big kind of area of wasted space. So I had that changed out to drawers, which has helped so much. It's much easier for me to get to everything, much easier for me to keep it in order, much easier for David to put things back where they belong. I had a couple of other situations like that. So I think there was one quick shot in the first video where you could see that there were these big pull-out bins here, and they were lined with plastic, and I think that they were intended for potatoes and onions and that kind of stuff. But my family's just not large enough that I don't keep a big stash of potatoes and onions here. What I grow is downstairs in a cooler area for storage. So we were just using them for, dish rags and dirty dish rags. So I had those changed out to drawers as well. So I ended up getting 3 drawers in place of the 2 that I had before. You can see this one is barely used. But this made so much more sense to me for the way that I use the kitchen. Okay, so I don't know that you ever saw my microwave, and it's a microwave. So I just replaced that as well. The old turntable did not turn. This one turns. We're in good shape. Okay, this is the back side of the island. So here's my prep sink, which is fantastic. I have a knife drawer, which these are not very deep on this side because I wanted all the depth on the other side to hold my plates and silverware and that kind of stuff. So this is only as deep as it needed to be for this sink. So when they were looking at putting in drawers, my knives would not fit in the depth drawer that they had. So we did this one as a cabinet instead, and I just love it. It is so easy for me to reach out and grab a knife. So my cookbooks moved down here to the island. And while I loved having them on display for the world to see, I'm not sure everybody thought it was just as, lovely, particularly David, to see all my cookbooks up there. So now this is my own little secret spot, but they're still on display for me, and I love having my cookbooks here. I had to do a little bit of purging, but that's okay. I'm really down to the ones that I use all the time, and I'm happy with that. Okay, now some big changes over here. So as you may recall from the last video, I had an old pie safe here, and it had a couple of shelves in it, and I had all my platters, and they were all stacked on top of each other. Everything was difficult to get out, difficult to put back in. You had to bring out the whole stack in order to get one near the bottom. And this right here was about a 12-inch deep bookcase where I had all of my cookbooks, and I loved having them on display, but it was just, it made for a very busy corner over here visually. So I said, well, I'm going to build a cabinet, and I'm going to move all of my platters over here so I'll have the depth and I won't have to stack them as high on each other. And so many of you brilliant folks said, for heaven's sakes, Carter, use vertical storage. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I have vertical storage there, I have vertical storage there. Anyway, thank you so much, because this changed everything. So I went to PowerPoint and I drew out exactly what I wanted, and I measured all my platters, and the nerd side came out, but I got exactly what I wanted. They did such a beautiful job building this for me, and I'll show you a little clip of them trying to bring this thing in because it weighed a ton. So they took out what was there, they built the entire insert from here up to the ceiling off-site, and then brought it in, and I don't know how much it weighed, but it was a lot. I'll show you that clip.
And then we can swing. Yeah, just bring it down a little bit more, and then swing your end to the right, your right.
Oh, she's so pretty.
All right. Okay. You ready? I don't feel like I'm missing anything. Nobody's doing all the way. All right. I got it.
My side's in.
Yep. Okay. Yep. My side's in. That's it. Perfect.
Take a bow, gentlemen. All right, yay.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
And this is what I got. So I am so happy with this. We had a big party 2 nights ago, I guess. Everything was so easy. I could get to it easily. I didn't have to pull multiple things out. I didn't make a mess. David almost knew where things went when he was emptying the dishwasher, although he was off a bit, but he'll get there, I hope. So I have my lesser used things up here, things that are just too big to be down here. I don't use them often, but I can reach that with a stepladder, which I did the other day, and everything works just fine. But here, everything is vertically stored, and it makes so much sense, and I am so happy with what happened there. Okay, so let me show you how that freed up space for us to have a casual dining area in the kitchen, which we love and we use all the time. So from where you just were, this is the cabinet with all my platters in it. This is where the pie safe used to be. We had a chair here for David to sit so we could have a conversation while I was in the kitchen cooking, and I wasn't just staring at the back of his head while he was sitting on the sofa. So now we can have dinner together on a Tuesday without having to go into the dining room or put our food on a tray and go sit in the family room or out on the patio here. It's just wonderful. So I absolutely love this. So this was the table that was the kitchen island when we bought the house. And it drove me crazy there because I needed a good work surface that was impervious to stains and watermarks and anything that I may do to it. And I needed it to be easily cleanable. And I wanted it to look clean. I want my cooking surface to look clean. I wanted to be able to sanitize it if I drop whatever it is I drop, because, I've been known to make a mess in the kitchen before, and I just want to be able to scrub it down. Couldn't do that with this. So somehow all of these imperfections and these stains and these sand marks and the nicks in here that are just all over I don't know, I somehow find them charming as a dining table, but not so good in my kitchen. So that helped all of that, and now we love sitting here. Breakfast, dinner, whatever. It is just so nice, so easy. All right, so the first thing I want to do is give you a good chuckle at how tiny I am compared to this big old massive refrigerator. This fit in exactly the same spot as our old fridge, but our old fridge had that grill up top, so it looked much shorter. This one actually has 1 cubic foot less space in it, but it's just so much more usable for me and the way I like to do it. So I'm going to take you inside. But when this thing showed up, I thought, oh my goodness, because I had not seen this in person. I had ordered it from their website because they previously had not had one that was the size to fit my old space. And I didn't move any of the cabinets. I didn't move anything. So I didn't even change my old countertops. I didn't change my sink. I didn't change the cabinets. I just had those painted. So I was not going to make a change for a refrigerator. So I wanted something that fit in. And this was brand new, but by golly, it's big. So let me show you what we have. So I moved to a fridge door refrigerator because I like to put big platters in, and my old one was super skinny and I just couldn't fit all my platters. You see that we had a party, so I have some leftovers up here. But I absolutely love what this has done for me in terms of giving me storage space. So then down below I have ice in this drawer. I have a little flex space here, so that's all of David's snacky food kind of stuff. Now I finally have a freezer that I can organize and it'll stay organized. I have these little bins and it's just perfect for putting in all of the little single serving packages of vegetables, of dried tomatoes, sweet potatoes, cauliflower rice, tomatoes, little cherry tomatoes from last year's garden, and then all of my single serving size pieces of protein. This is just such an easy meal prep. Having everything in here, everything in these kind of dinner size portions has proven so helpful for me. Dinner is a piece of cake. It defrosts quickly. I can defrost dinner from this drawer only in probably 15 minutes, and then throw it in the air fryer or the oven or on the stove or whatever it is, and it's another 10 minutes maybe. Piece of cake. So I love this. Okay, so let's head down this hall and I'll show you what I did for all of my small appliances. As we go, this is my regular pantry door. So I don't know if you could see in that, but it has the same dark stain that I had them put on the island. So we're going to walk down this way. And as you may recall, way down here is where I had to put all of my dishes and my silverware and my napkins and my trays and all that kind of stuff, which is a long way from the dishwasher. So now I'm back to just having serving glasses and fancy stuff in here. All right, let's take a look at what I did over here. Okay, so we are now down the hall from the kitchen, across from where my plates and silverware used to have to live. This, if you'll recall from the last video, was a desk area. Back in the day, we used to call it like a home management center. It had bookcases up above, little mail slots, a little desk, little writing area down here. It was not useful for me, but because I didn't have any place in my kitchen to put my small appliances, you know, my toaster, my Lomi, my dehydrator, my mixer. I didn't have room for any of that in my kitchen because I had so little counter space. They were down here on that desk area. It was open, it was a mess, it wasn't really configured for that, so it never looked neat, it never looked like it was intended to be there. I had my kombucha there and I didn't like the area, so it kind of got forgotten. Anyway, David had the brilliant idea, like literally as we saw in the contract in this house, he said, you need someplace to put your small appliances, the toaster oven, all that kind of stuff that you have that helps you cook, right? So he said, you need an appliance pantry. And I thought, oh, that's exactly what we need. So he said, what if we take that desk away and build you essentially another pantry, but you use it for your appliances? And I thought, fantastic. And what if we give me a surface in there that I can use those appliances in the appliance pantry? So I have outlets, I have a countertop, I have a backsplash, so that I can use some of those things in here. Now, not everything makes sense to use in here, but like the dehydrator makes sense to use in here. The mixer makes sense to use in here. The Lomi makes sense to use in here. So several things, the air fryer, all of that kind of stuff, I just use it right in here. And it's great. It never has to come out and take up room in my kitchen. And I don't have to see it all the time. I don't have to go put it in a lower cabinet and then lift, 15 pounds of something to put it up on the counter to use. So this is going to be very difficult for me to show you in a horizontal frame. So I have a vertical frame, a vertical picture that I took with my phone, and I will put it up above, but I'm going to open these doors and I'll give you just a little bit of orientation as to where things are. So there we go. This is where all of my small appliances go. Most of these, many of these, have been in the garage for the past 2.5, 3 years because I had no place to put them. So now as we come in, I have all my canners down here, all my canning supplies back in here. I have my mixers finally out of the garage, so I have that up here. I have my blender, I have crock pots, I have my bread maker. Here's the kombucha. It's all looking good and happy and well tended to because I can get to it now, and I love being down here. So here's my air fryer dehydrator, which I can use right here. I have outlets even on the second level. All the food processors, small appliances. Now what I think is going to happen when we get into heavy harvest processing periods, I'm going to move the mixer down below because I won't be using that so much during the summer. And I think I'll probably move my dehydrator down here so I have easier access to it. And I will probably also put my vacuum sealer down here. So that is super easy to use, and I'm not pulling things out and setting up each and every time I want to do something. So I use the same countertop that I did on the island. I use the same backsplash that I did in the kitchen. I have lighting everywhere. I have outlets. This was just another brilliant suggestion. So I thank David so much for coming up with this one. Okay, so I'm going to see how much I can show you here. It does go all the way up. You can see the Instapot is still in here. It is not gone yet, but you know, that remains to be seen whether or not I'm going to find a use for it in the way that I cook and we eat. So I have storage all the way up and down. I do have a step ladder because it gets a little tall for me up there. So everything that has been in the garage and really unusable for me the past 2.5 to 3 years is now inside. So that is the tour of the kitchen updates. I hope you enjoyed it. I am so happy. One of the main things I wanted to come out of this was I wanted it to be a one and done. I don't ever want to have to remodel this kitchen again. You know, if I end up living here for another 30 years, well, I don't know, I'm 60, hopefully another 30 years, I may have to replace some appliances that die in that 30-year period. But I don't think I'm ever going to have to do anything else to this kitchen. It's now everything I need it to be. Didn't change the footprint, didn't change any of the structure that was already here, and we made it work. It's been a journey all the way around. I'm so glad to have you here. I'm so happy to share all of this with you, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.